Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan Ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. So first of all, I agree very much with the first part of what you said, which is that Bharat is this land with great tradition, great teachings, great wisdom, great insights, great culture. But I don't agree with the second part of what you said, which is that today's youth have gone astray. We meet so many youth every day. They're not astray. The youth today, and of course, with hundreds of millions of youth, you can't make one blanket statement. Naturally, there will be youth who have gone astray. Just as there are youth in America who have gone astray, and youth in England who have gone astray, and youth in Australia who have gone astray. But as a general rule, what I have seen is that the youth, whether it's the youth of Bharat, the youth of America, the youth of England, the youth of Australia, the youth anywhere, are actually doing fantastically. However, one very important thing has happened in Bharat that makes us think they've gone astray. And that is, they have stopped being unquestionably obedient. Right? You go back one generation, two generations, right? Aapki mummy, ya aapka papa, ya aapki nani, ya dadi ne aapko kuch bola. You would say ji, and you would do it. The idea of saying why would never occur to you. By chance, agar why bola, so it would be very likely ki tappar mara, right? I mean, this is sort of the culture. Tum kya samajhte apne aap ko? Tum guru ban gaye kya? Why mere se pucha? Phir tumhara thappar mara. And you learn very quickly. Don't ask why. Just do what you are told. And that is in many ways how this culture has run for millennia. In a tradition, in a culture in which obviously we respect the elders, but that respect takes the form of obedience, unquestioning obedience. A parent tells you something, you say, ji. End of story. Ji, full stop. These days what's happening is the children are getting an education system that in many ways is much more like a Western education system. In my school, for example, if there were a question on an exam, it was very rare, almost never, that we had simply yes, no, true, false questions. There would be a question, you'd have to give the right answer, but you would also have to explain why you thought that answer was true. And if you got the wrong answer, but you gave a good explanation, you might not get full credit, but you would get 70-80% credit. कि चलो answer is wrong, लेकिन सोचने का ढंग बहुत बढ़िया है, ठीक से सोचा. थोड़ा समझ तो नहीं पाया बेचारा, लेकिन ठीक से सोचा तो you get 80%, 70%. That system is coming much more into India. Children are learning to ask questions. In my school, the teacher would ask us, okay, you've all read the homework. Who has any questions? And if nobody asked, she would pick on somebody. Chalo aapne padha, aap kuch prashna pucho. Thoda samajh gaye? And you'd be like, ji. Then of course she would ask you something you didn't know the answer. She'd say, ab chalo, pucho, jo nahi samajh paaye. They wanted you to ask questions. It was rooted in ask questions, be inquisitive. Don't just take what we say. Figure it out for yourself. School is not about just memorization. It's about learning how to think. Now that system has come more in India, in education. Also with media and social media, they're getting much more exposed to the Western way. So now what's happening? Parents say to their children, "Chalo Bhagwan ji ke upar tilak lagao." Bachche pucha, "Kyon? Thappar mara." Kaise pucho? Now, the children were not being rude. They've not gone astray. They really sincerely are simply wanting to know, why do we do this? Why do we put tilak on Bhagwan in the mandir? Why do we put tilak on ourselves? Why are we vegetarians? Why do we do parikrama in the mandir? Why do we take achman? Why do we do puja? Why do we do abhishek? What does this mean? And as parents, the dilemma is a lot of times we don't know the answer. Humne kabhi nahi pucha. We were told tilak lagao, humne laga diya, bas baat khatam ho gaya. So in many ways we don't actually know the answer. So when our children ask us, we feel insulted. Why are they asking? But we also feel a little bit uncomfortable because we don't actually know what to say. And it's a lot easier to just say, because I told you so. Jo main kehti hu na, wo to karo. Baat khatam. The problem is these children are not taking it these days. It is no longer a generation of aapne keh diya bas, wo kafi hai. It's a generation of, I want to understand why. Which gives us as parents, as grandparents, as aunts, as uncles, as teachers, actually a beautiful challenge. When you have answers for them, they are more committed in many ways than you are, than your parents were, because they actually get it. They're not just doing it kardnaye. With so many of the older generations, you do things just kyunki kardnaye. Puja Swamiji always does a very funny impression of people, kyunki naturally Pura Vishwa mein jaane ka moka mila in everybody's home, and naturally in people's homes they have mandirs, they do arti. But he does a very funny impression of people jo arti kar rahe, om jay jagash, acha mera tiffin pack kar do, shahadi, and then acha do this, do that. Matlab arti ki beech mein they're yelling instructions at family members, at the housekeeper, at something else. They're answering the phone. Acha main dobara karta hu, but now they're doing arti kyunki supposed to do arti. But the mind is not with arti. The mind is on, theek se mera tiffin pack kiya ki nahi kiya? Mera shawl press kiya ki nahi kiya? Bachche ne nashta khaya ki nahi khaya? This generation, either they're going to do it, and if they do it, they're going to do it fully because they understand why they're doing it, or they're not going to do it. But if they don't do arti, they may be making sandwiches for poor people, or figuring out a way to have cremations that take less wood, or figuring out a way to more efficiently harvest rainwater so that we have drinking water. The challenge for us is how to give them this culture, how to give them these sanskaras in a way that actually makes sense to them. And the truth is, Sanatan Dharma is actually a dharma of science. We have the reasons. There is nothing in Sanatan Dharma that is just kyonki wo to karna hai. No reason. Everything has a reason. And it gives us this beautiful opportunity to learn the reason. Just to give you an example, vegetarianism. So you say to our children, ki hum vegetarian hai. So they say, why? Their friends are all eating hamburgers and hot dogs and chicken. They say, why? We say, because Go Mata Bhagwan hai. Go apni mata hai. वो कहते हो तो मेरा माता नहीं है. मैंने उसे तो जन्म नहीं लिया, ना मैं उसको भगवान मानती हूँ. Then we are stuck for Tapramada. And we become frustrated. Or we say things like, because Vasudev Kutumbakam, they are all our sisters and brothers. They say, "Tumhe aise nahi manti hun. That chicken is not my sister." And then you're stuck because you have nothing else to tell them. We've got these two reasons. Go Mata hai, and she's holy. And all of the animals are our sisters and brothers. But if that's not part of their worldview, we have nowhere else to go. Ya taparmada, yeah, we become frustrated and we give up. But if you actually say to them, we are vegetarians because we believe in feeding everybody. We believe in equality. And the meat industry actually is one of the greatest causes of world hunger. We are vegetarians because out of 16 pounds of grain, 16 pounds of anaj, wheat, rice, corn, soy, I can get 16 pounds of bread, chapatis, pasta, rice, or I can get 1 pound of meat. And I do not believe that I deserve the food of 15 other people. Isliye main vegetarian kahti hun. Then they say, oh, they understand. We are vegetarian because the meat industry is the single greatest cause of climate change. Because the Amazon rainforest is being deforested to graze the cows who become hamburgers. Watch how fast your youth become vegetarians. I've seen it. I speak from experience. So it gives us the opportunity to actually learn the reasons. This is why so many years ago Puja Swamiji founded the Encyclopedia of Hinduism project in America. For the same reason. Because the children, the Indian children growing up in America, would come home from school and they would say to their parents, ki everybody says we are this, we are that, why do we... Parents had no answer because they had just been obedient to their parents. That was what respect meant. And because they had no answer, the children were going astray. He said, we will give them answers. And he brought together thousands of the world's scholars to put together what became an 11-volume Encyclopedia of Hinduism. Why do we do these things? What does it mean? So, what I would say to you is, this generation of youth is the first generation that's really giving us as the elders the opportunity to go back and learn our stuff. To really give answers, to find answers. Why do we put on tilak? Beautiful reasons. All of it. Why do we do parikrama? Beautiful reasons. But you have to make it meaningful to them. And it also gives us a beautiful opportunity to be humble. And to admit, chalo, mujhe bhi malum nahi hai. Chalo saath hi saath Rishikesh chale. We'll ask. Yeah, these days we'll go on Google, we'll search, we'll find out. But don't dismiss them. They actually want to be part of the culture. The other dilemma is, speaking very honestly, we as the elders are not giving them a very good example. So for example, we're very good at just doing the rituals, but we're not so good at actually living them. And so for example, we say yam or niyam, right? Ahimsa, satya, asteya, apigraha. These are how we live. Brahmacharya. And we teach them to our children. This is how we live. Then we're going somewhere. We're supposed to meet people. Phone bachte hai, we're running late. Phone bachte hai. We tell our child, chalo uthao, unko bodo hum rasta pe hain. Now usko to pata hai hum rasta pe nahi hai. Gard pe hain. Tayari mein hai. But you've just told them, usko bodo hum rasta pe hain. Now, later on, then our children start lying to us. And we say, ki I don't know what's happened. Bache jhoot bolne lage. Well, ye kisne sikhaya? Humne sikhaya. We tell them, don't grab, don't hoard, be spiritual. Then we go to a shadi. In the car ride back from the shadi, we're talking about somebody's diamond, somebody's sari. We're gossiping. We're giving them these teachings of materialism, of gossip, of negativity. We actually have to set the example. We have to be the ones who really live this. And then the children get it. When you sit for meditation, when you sit for puja, and you stand up from puja, your children should be able to see the difference. Oh, Papa was very stressed. Wo mandir mein gaye. Vapas aaye like a changed man. Wow. Kya asar ho gaya. Not dhyan se ut ke, and then you're yelling, ki why is my breakfast not ready? Acha, how dare you wear this? Acha ye, acha wo. Then they think, kya fark pora? Fayda kya hui? Aadha ghante kharab kar diya. माँ को हेल्प तो किया नहीं, बेटे कुछ किया नहीं, फिर उठ के गाली देने लगे. ये क्या ध्यान है? So it actually is a beautiful opportunity for us, because these kids are very different. They're not going to just take it, as I said. They've got that sort of scientific mindset. We have to actually live it, not just preach it now. And then you'll see how on track they are. But we have to make the culture something alive, something meaningful, something that they see benefit in. Not just something that we do kyonki we've been doing it for thousands of years or karna hai. It should be fresh in today, not just history.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Alaya, in the circle on Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE That's HOPE. Or visit rain.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me.
How to control anger. So let's do a little experiment. Okay. Close your eyes for a moment. Now you've got 30 seconds. And in 30 seconds, I want you to become as absolutely angry as you possibly can. Okay? Furious, livid, rageful. Just become as angry as you can inside. Okay, open your eyes. Now, did you find that easy or did you find it difficult? Difficult. The reason that almost all of us find it difficult is because anger comes in unconsciousness. It's very difficult to become consciously furious. Now, there are things that make us angry. I can think about world hunger. I can think about the burning of fossil fuels and destroying our environment. I can think about women dying in childbirth because they don't have access to medical care. Makes me angry. But not angry in a way where I'm suddenly furious and my palms are sweating and my pulse is racing. Just angry enough to do seva for it. But not angry enough that it's going to eat me up inside with fury. That type of anger comes in unconsciousness. When we have lost our grip of the moment, we've gone into autopilot unconscious. Something we wanted to happen didn't happen, or something we didn't want to happen did happen. Our expectation was not fulfilled. And so we are angry. But more than that, we have become unconscious. I'm no longer grounded, anchored. In that unconsciousness, fury, rage, anger, it grows. And then sometimes we actually even act it out. Tappar maar diya kisi ko. Yeah, we've punched a wall, hurt our own hand, done something else we regret, said something. And then later we say, that wasn't me. I don't know who did that. Somebody took over me. That wasn't me. The question, of course, becomes, well, then who was it? Whose hands? Whose mouth? Who was that? Well, obviously it was you, but it was you unconscious. And so the very first and best and most powerful way to deal with anger is stay conscious. When you're conscious and aware and mindful in every moment, anchored and grounded in every moment, you're not going to lose yourself. Doesn't mean that there won't be things that you see that you know should be changed and that you have an ability to change them. But you're not going to become the slave of anger. You're not going to lose yourself with a pulse that's through the roof, a blood pressure that's through the roof, a fist that's through a wall. Because you stayed conscious. The second is to look at what are we expecting. What are we wanting from others? What are we wanting from the world? Because that's what tends to cause the most anger. We expect people to behave in a certain way. We expect the stock market to behave in a certain way. We expect traffic patterns to be in a certain way. And they're not, so we're angry. But if instead we realize that there's only one thing we have control over: our own self. And if we spent more time focused on our own minds, our own selves, than on what everybody else around us is doing that we like or we don't like, that is what we want or don't want, dancing to our tune or not dancing to our tune, then we won't have those expectations. And if we do have them, when they're not fulfilled, okay, chalo, I was expecting there'd be no traffic. I was expecting कि मैं आधा घंटे में पहुंच जाऊंगी. Traffic था, accident था, मैं करूं क्या? ठीक है, flight भी छूट गए. Okay, it happens. But me getting furious about it isn't going to make me catch the flight. It's not going to make the traffic part on the freeway like the Red Sea. It's not going to make other people suddenly behave in the way that I want them to. It achieves nothing except harming myself. They say very beautifully, getting angry is like drinking poison but expecting the other guy to die. It just harms us. And so, number one, we stay conscious. Number two, we lower our expectations. Or if we have expectations, we're at least not attached to them. So, okay, I expect no traffic. I expect that people around me will be honest and loving and caring and sharing. They're not, okay. I wasn't attached to it. I understood I have no control. But I understood that I have control over one thing, my response. And just because they acted in ignorance or ego or anger or fear or greed doesn't mean I'm going to lose myself. That's the one thing I've got in my hands. You've already done something that was not right. Why would I take my peace, my freedom, my joy, my bliss, and suddenly throw it in with your ignorance or your greed or what you've done that's made me angry? So we don't have expectations. Or we're just not attached to them, at least. And lastly, there's a lot, but last for right now. Lastly, we forgive very quickly. Very, very, very quickly. Because we realize that holding a grudge is harming us. It's not making other people change. All it's doing is causing my heart to fester. It's causing my heart to be stained, to hurt. And it's causing me then to move through my life with this identity as the victim of what you did. And so we forgive, not because what people do is right, not because it's okay, but because we recognize that, number one, the law of karma is there and is going to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of anyway. It's not our job. Until and unless God comes down and says to you, hey, would you mind being my secretary for a little while? Here's a notepad, here's a pen. I want you to make sure to write down who's doing what, who deserves what. Until and unless that happens, you can be pretty sure that we are not the karmic police, that we don't need to be holding on to what other people have done. And number two, because most importantly, we deserve to be free. Freedom is our birthright. It's our highest spiritual calling. And when I'm holding a grudge, I'm not free, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in anger, and I'm stuck in an identification as the one who was abused, who was abandoned, who was cheated, who was lied to, who was betrayed. So we forgive very quickly. It's like, imagine, you've got, this is my favorite example of this, you've got a beautiful brand new couch. Nice white color couch, cream colored couch, something very light color. Your friend comes over, you make them sit on the couch next to you. Then you go in the kitchen and you make them, by your own hands, a cup of tea or coffee. And you give it to them. And then they spill it on your couch. Purposely or by accident. Either way, it doesn't matter, but they spill it on your couch. Then they stand up and they walk out the door. Okay? What are you going to do? What's the very first thing you're going to do? What's the very first thing you will do? Clean the couch. Right? Clean the couch. First thing you're going to do. Because you know the couch is mine. Couch is mine. I'm stuck with this house. And it's new. And coffee stains and chai stains. I'll deal with this guy later. But the very first thing I need to do is to clean my couch. So that hopefully there will be no stain. Now, is there anyone here who would leave the stain on the couch until that guy came back or didn't come back to clean it? I mean, could you imagine? The guy's gone, left. You're going to call him, "Hare bhai, vapas aao, isko saaf kar do." They don't come. But you keep it there? You're going to let your couch stay stained? Suddenly the ants start coming, then the worms come. Then you've got a whole pile of bacteria. Would you leave it there? Just taki this person feels badly? Are you prepared to live with a couch that is infested with bugs? Just so that this guy knows what he did? Or what about to be able to show it to other people? Dekho unhone kya kiya mujhko. मैंने बड़ी प्यार से कॉफी बनाया, कॉफी पिलाया, फिर गिराया चला गया. देखो, देखो क्या हो गया मेरा couch. No one would do that. We clean the couch. And yet, with our own hearts, we let those stains stay. Because we want this guy to come back and to fix it. Say you're sorry, make it up to me, do something. Only then I will let it go. We want to tell other people, I cannot believe, look how miserable I am, what this person did to me. But it's our own heart. So if we've got enough clarity to take care of our couch, at least we should have the same clarity to take care of our own hearts. Okay? So we stay conscious, very low expectations, without attachments to it, and we forgive right away, cleaning that couch. Beautiful. Of course. Of course. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. Beautiful eve of Diwali. Choti Diwali, call it. But we know the power of small things. We were talking last night about the power of small things. So it's a beautiful power this evening. This power of the light tonight. The power of goodness, of divinity. Over evil, over harm, over ignorance. And tomorrow morning when everyone wakes up, may it just be such a beautiful, beautiful day full of such light. Such light. Light outside, but also light inside, most importantly. The light that doesn't get extinguished. Have a beautiful evening and a beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from all over the world, and look so forward to seeing you all tomorrow evening. With deep pranam to Puja Swamiji for blessing us with your presence and darshan tonight.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
Surrender. Do we get into that river of surrender through our intellectual process or a thought process? Or do we get into it in the non-thinking, just love way? Either way. It's like when we talk about the river of the divine, the river of yoga, of union, right? We can get into it through bhakti, through love. Tends to be non-intellectual. It's just the I love you, I love you, I love you. We may sing, we may pray, we may do puja, we may chant. But the core of all of that is just I love you. Or we may enter that river through Jnana Yoga, through the process of understanding the nature of that river of the divine, the nature of understanding, that river of oneness. Or, of course, we can enter the river through Karma Yoga, through action, through allowing every minute, every moment, every word, every action to be something that opens us more and more to unity, to union, to oneness. And allowing every action to be that which is rooted in oneness. So any of these ways is right. There's no one right way to connect with God or one right way to surrender. The challenge, I would imagine, from going into it intellectually, for me as I think about it, would be, I might talk myself out of it. When you engage the mind, it's very difficult to separate the higher mind, the mind moving toward enlightenment, from the patterned, programmed, indoctrinated, ego-driven mind. And so for me, I think if I tried to think about surrender intellectually, probably I would talk myself out of it. Probably I would convince myself that there was some better way of getting whatever it was I was wanting than to just surrender. Because surrender's Surrender is scary for a lot of people. It implies surrendering, it implies giving up. But here's what's really important about surrender. We have already surrendered, every one of us. We just typically tend to be surrendered to our egos. We do whatever our egos tell us to do. Or we are surrendered to our pattern of thinking. Jaise hum sochte hain. We keep thinking like that. That's our pattern. That's our way. That's what we think is right. That's what we have built our life upon. So we have surrendered to a pattern of thought, a fixed pattern of thought, an idea, an identity. We've already surrendered. A lot of us are surrendered to desires. Desire arises, we do it. Surrender to it. A lot of us surrender to our emotions. We're angry, we act it out, a temper tantrum, a fist fight, whatever it may be. Surrender to addictions. Oh, I'm just an addict, I can't do anything, I'll keep being an addict. We surrender already in so many ways that on a spiritual level, when we talk about surrender, it actually is not a matter of your higher self, your true self, your divine self was running the show, and now suddenly we're saying, surrender that. The practice of surrender actually is saying simply, why don't you choose a better master? Your current master, ego, patterns, indoctrination, acculturation, stubbornness, full of yourselfness, over-identification, whatever it may be, desires, fears, emotions, those masters are not leading you in the direction that you want to go. They may be leading you where you want to go career-wise. You may be making more money year after year. They may be leading you where you want to go socially. You may be going to more and more parties every year. You may have more and more followers on social media every year. But they're not leading you actually to your own awakening, your own enlightenment, your own truth. And so when we speak about surrender to the divine, again, it's not, oh yeah, you were already being led by your higher self. Now you're going to give that up. It's saying, I'm going to choose a different master here. I'm already surrendered. But I no longer want to be surrendered to those which are leading me more and more into boxes, more and more into separateness, more and more into illusion, more and more into stuckness, more and more into this accumulation of karma that I'm just going to have to keep coming back year after year, lifetime after lifetime to do this over and over again. But instead, I'm going to surrender all of that to the divine. I think it would be a lot easier to do that from a place of love. But again, you could go into it intellectually, as long as you're really clear intellectually of actually what you're talking about with surrender. Because otherwise the ego comes in and is like, hey, why surrender? I know what's going on. I'm able to run the show. It reminds me of that wonderful story of the man who decides that he's ready for enlightenment. And he asks everyone, who's the guru who can grant him enlightenment? And everyone sends him to this one guru up on a mountain. So the man walks for weeks, he crosses a river, he climbs the mountain, he gets into the cave where the guru's sitting. And he bows at the guru's feet and he says, I'm ready for enlightenment. I've come to you to grant me enlightenment. And he starts to tell the Guru everything that he's learned, everything he's experienced, everything he knows. And the Guru says, have a cup of tea. And the man's like, tea? I don't have time for tea. I've come for enlightenment. The Guru says, have a cup of tea. And he goes into the back of the cave and he comes back with a teapot and cups and he starts pouring tea into the cups. And he's pouring and the cup is now overflowing, spilling out onto the ground. And the man says, stop. The cup is full, it can't hold anymore. And the Guru says, your mind is just like this cup. You're so full of what you think you know, what you think you've achieved, who you think you are, what you think you need, that there's nothing else I can give you. In the same way that I can't give you more tea till you drink what's in the cup, I can't give you anything until you empty yourself. So surrender is that emptying of ourself. And if you can, if you can get yourself there through thinking about it, wonderful. Again, I know I've got an overactive intellect that would surely talk me out of surrender. And so for me, that path of love, that path of openness, that path of service, and the path of wisdom, the path of gyan, but not gyan as in I'm going to think about this, but gyan as in I am aware that I know nothing. I am aware that my ego, my identity, my patterns are the problem, and that if I can just create enough space from them, grace will flow. It's already flowing. I'm not able to experience it because, like the man, we're so full. So I think for me it would be easier in that way, but there's no right way. As long as we're on a path of surrender and acutely aware that surrender is where we're headed and what we need to do, I'd say you're on the right path, however you're walking it.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
That is a beautiful question. Why don't we light diyas every day? We should light diyas every day. In fact, many of us do light diyas every day. In our mandir, in our room, a lot of us every day we light a diya there. And what that diya reminds us every day is, oh God, show me the light. Shine your light on me so that I can see. Let me see the path. Let me see the way. Let me not live in darkness and ignorance, because when we live in darkness and ignorance, then we tend to get angry a lot. Have you noticed that? Right? Then we get angry a lot because we think, this person is like that, or this person's like that, or how dare this person do that? And so we get very angry. But the light that God shows us is the light of truth. And when we see the light of truth, then what is there to be angry at? Right? So we light the diya every day. We should light the diya every day. And if you would like, we can send you home with a little diya, and you could light that diya in your room every day. What do you think about that?
Yes.
That would be nice, no?
Yes.
I think that would be a great idea. So all of the diyas that we light on Diwali are to remind us. Let me ask you something. Do you celebrate Mother's Day and Father's Day?
Yes.
Do you love your mom and dad only one day a year, or do you love them every day?
Every day.
Every day. So really every day should be Mother's Day and Father's Day, don't you think? Right? Now we also have Earth Day. We have Water Day. We have World Environment Day. But really, we should love our Earth every day, don't you think?
Yes.
So these one days that we have like this, it's not that we only love our mom or dad one day, or that we only love the Earth one day. But those one days are kind of like reminding us. Oh, maybe I forgot. You know, it's like your mobile phone. Sometimes it needs to be charged. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
If it loses its charge, then what happens?
It dies.
It dies. And even before it dies, it stops working very well. Right?
Yeah.
Then you're saying, hello, 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 I can't hear you. Right? So we charge it. In the same way, these holidays are ways of charging us. But your phone is supposed to work not on the charger. The whole point is you charge it and then it's with you and it's on all the time, right? So in the same way, when we celebrate Diwali, it charges us. Oh yeah, I have to light the lamp every day. And I have to light the lamp in my room and in my heart. In my room, maybe sometimes I can't, maybe I'm traveling, maybe I'm not there, maybe some other reason. But the one in my heart, I can light that every day wherever I am. No?
Yes.
So you're going to light it every day?
Yes.
Oh, great.
This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week. And I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on OMTimes Radio.